What's up, everybody? It is the 30s perspective. We've been
You're
gone for a little minute, but we are
right.
back for the new year. 2024 is already kicking off on some
Absolutely.
crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it
All
is.
right, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I feel like I always say the government, and I don't know if you be wanting the government on there like that.
I mean, honestly, I think at this stage, I don't even know what I need to go by. So I'm
Okay.
gonna keep it just the artist formerly known as for now, because there's so many things working in the
I'm so
background right now.
sorry.
So there's things that
I'm
I'm
done
just the
with you.
artist formerly
The
known
show
as.
hasn't even started yet.
I mean, look, I know I can't stand myself, so I know other people can't. I'm okay with that.
Well, your name is at the bottom of the screen,
I
so
know, which is crazy, which is
right.
kind of my government. I
Yeah.
should I should change it to question mark.
Shout out to Chris. Um, he's on here tonight. It's gonna be just us tonight.
Yes.
B Mike might pop on. We'll see what he does.
Okay.
But we're gonna have rotating guests this year because life be life and a lot of
They
us
do.
be like busy as heck these days,
Yeah,
um, with multiple things that's going on.
absolutely.
I am Sherelle Unique. And it's a pleasure to be here. I've been missing the
Yes.
podcast. I have been missing it. I have been missing it. I want to say shout out to my homegirl, Sakina. She's
Mm,
going to be doing an episode with us soon. She gave me this
okay.
shirt, half hood, half holy. Pray with me, don't play with me.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's like that.
I see. I
Half hood,
see.
half holy. Speaking of half hood, half holy, and we're going to keep this short because I know you're going to have a whole lot to say about this. How do you feel about the William Murphy swag surfing on New Year's Eve at his church?
Um, I think it's too much. It is. It's out of bounds for what we're supposed to be doing if we're doing these in these spiritual spaces. It's a concept of church and state, right? You gotta keep them separate. You're bringing in stuff and spirits and energy into a place where you're supposed to be tuned in and tapped in with God, and you can't do that if you're doing that and you're promoting that. And it's funny because I think we've had conversations off the potty where if you take the seven churches in Revelations, it tells you each church that wasn't doing what they needed to do and what they needed to do to fix their iniquities, right? But then you had the churches who completely just didn't care and failed outright. And a lot of the thing is you're bringing the outside heathenistic ways into the temple, and it talked about that. It says in the end times, and in these times, they're going to be trying to do these things and cross mix, and you can't mix it like that. Not like that. If you're going to bring people in and you're trying to help them and save them and show them the difference, absolutely, there's a way to go about that. Within context. But that wasn't in context. They were just doing that, and they were promoting it that way. And I mean, I think we've talked about it before. In the spiritual space, it's really limited in the dynamic music choices, right? You either have worship music or, trying to be nice here, or it gets real corny, right? You don't really have anything to translate over to being able to have a good time in the spirit and in those spaces that is kind of the equivalent to mainstream entertainment. And that's the problem. We give all the good stuff to Satan. God gets the leftovers a lot of times, which is crazy to say, but we can be just as creative when worshiping and reverencing God as they do to the trap house. The fact is that we stay so safe in a way that you're not allowed to express how you feel with God. When you pray, you can't tell me you're always like, Father, I'm just coming. Now you're like, yo, look, God, this is going on right now. This conversation needs to happen, right? We don't do that enough when it comes to the soundtrack of that walk. We are not honest and say, hey, whether I need to be not necessarily super gritty about the approach, but also in the party aspect. It's supposed to be a celebration. Everybody always wants to reference, well, David danced. He absolutely did. So if David's going to dance and this is an interpretation of what he was doing and feeling, do that. But if you're going to do that, create it in such a way that the music gets everybody moving in that space and invite the spirit in. But we don't have enough of that. So all he chose from was what the world had to offer. Luckily, it wasn't twerking for Jesus, because that would have been insane, but that's happened in the past. So, I mean, swag surfing isn't any better, but at
So
least it leaned away from blasphemy.
I have mixed feelings about it. Um, I do think that some secular music is okay to be played at church. Because we lead secular lives in a sense. So I do think that some secular music can be played at church. Keyword is some.
Right.
I've had some pastors who have allowed my band, who does clean music, and if it ain't clean, I bleep it so it is clean. He allowed, they've allowed my band to play or rehearse at the church, and I'm respectful of how that goes about. But for me, even though I love the song and I be swag surfing, I feel like it's a time and place for things. I don't feel like a service is the time and place for swag surfing to be played. Just, I mean, it's just time and place. If we don't do certain things at court, then there's certain things we don't do for church.
And that's all I'm saying. Absolutely.
I would have been okay with them playing the music. The dance ain't so bad. It's not like over sexualized or anything like that. I would have been okay with them just playing the music and people just vibing to that. But for me, the words are a little overboard for the environment, because the environment does not promote those particular lyrics that were that was being played. And I do think we do have to make some changes in our approach when we're trying to bring people into the church, because the world is changing and you don't want to be trying to catch fish with the wrong bait. You don't want to be speaking a language that people don't even understand. So you do have to meet people where they are, but you also have to you have to show that this is a different environment. There's time and place. We're supposed to be focusing on Christ. We can have a little fun, but we're supposed to be focusing on Christ. And I also didn't like his response, like, we won this many souls to say night.
It's not about that.
Many souls did you win? Like, it was just a nasty.
It's not supposed to be a competition like that. Like, if we're doing this thing, what are your motives? Are they pure? Are you really intentionally trying to get these people to get them in a place of cleaning themselves? Because here's the thing too, a lot of the issue comes down to, you can win a soul, or I don't want to say you win a soul, because when you first get them to make the choice to start making that transition, there's still work that has to go into it. They're day one brand new, right? It says they're children in this, so they're a kid. If you're not nourishing that spiritual development, they can fall off and die anyway. So what did you really do? Now, yes,
it sounds a little selfish, like, you won this soul to, like, what? They made a choice, and that choice was between them and Christ.
Right.
So anyway, let's move on from that topic. Because there's so much going on. Oh my God. This Katt Williams interview, dog.
Hey, man. Hey, listen, you talking scorched earth? He was scorched earth. Man, shots. Like, he gave no X.
Fire, boom, boom.
Man, listen.
Yo.
Boom, fire, man. Yeah, he wasn't playing. I need the reggae air horn. Like, I need all of it right now. Like, that's how crazy that was. But again, you've heard stories like that for years, not just from him, though. You've heard it. I've heard people tell stories about how Steve Harvey tried to sabotage Bernie Mac. I've heard that stuff.
Loosely, I didn't follow it. but
right, but it was sprinkled out there. So
I was not. I just was that because see at work I like to have my little podcast in, like to do my tappity tap listening. I'm listening. I'm pausing. Pausing. To pause this all together. I can't watch it now.
Yeah.
But he let those who did not see it. He let off on Michael Blackson, Ricky
Faison Love, Ricky Smiley,
Steve Harvey,
Gary Owen. Oh, absolutely, Kim Kardashian. Yes.
All they light skinned ugly wives from what he said.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the picture though? It was a thing. I'm just saying, there's a lot to it. He went off on TD Jakes, Diddy a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like,
King.
Oh yeah, but see, and that's the thing. If he's telling you, and he said it before though, Harvey Weinstein, if he was letting you know those nuggets before, you want to discredit him now?
He called out Steve Harvey's man unit.
Yeah.
Nobody has mentioned Steve Harvey's man unit that I know of.
I mean, Steve used to have what was like the fro going on.
Look at that, like, what's that? What?
Right, now you got to think about it. Like, I do recall.
I remember peeping it one day.
Yeah.
Cedric the Entertainer stealing his joke. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's facts. I mean, if you watch the BET set and commercial side by side, it is the same setup. It is the same joke. Like you said, the only thing different is his Cadillac versus the spaceship Cadillac. It's the same exact joke.
I feel like though there are certain jokes that a lot of people have done. Like, can you imagine how many people have done one where they are sitting in a car and the music's playing?
Absolutely, but you got to remember that time frame. Katt was the one who made that set popular. And think about it, we grew up watching BET. Like, that's when BET was BET.
And once it's popular, you got to leave it alone.
Right. And I mean, we know Comic View. We're not naive to it. We came up in that era. We saw it. Right now, these new kids, they're going to try to give a pass. Oh, it's old people beef us, this and that. But think about, and I want to say think about these young people and their creative edge, but they lack talent anymore. I'm sorry. A lot of what's out there is super reused, so no one even cares about originality for real anymore. But in that time, when you take your craft so serious and you create this joke and you lay it out and you format it and it becomes perfect, and perfect to the point where you did it on Comic View twice, and then BET approaches you like, hey, for our programming and for our promotion of this show, can we use this clip in repetition to promote the show? If it's that good that a network approaches you to use your content like that, especially at that time, that means you had something. And for Cedric to take it and then try to reformat it slightly and change little subtleties, you see the meat. Stop.
You just say, yo, listen, I was inspired by it. And I
called it inspiration.
I came up with my own. I didn't think that it was as close as it was, but you know, I don't want nobody to think I'm stealing their jokes, but I do believe people have stolen. I really think it's common practice for people to use each other's jokes.
Hold on, but I'm gonna say this because this is what makes me really irritated when it comes to the music business. Again, no slander, no ill will per se.
Beyonce,
but not just her. We can get to her too because Khalees wasn't popping. Let's stop that for a second. But Marvin Gaye's estate, the Gaye family. When you look at Blurred Lines,
Blurred Line. I know.
Listen, it's an interpolation. Stop. It's not his. I don't think the Gaye family deserved that money. You derailed a current creative artist who could have given us more stuff with his own personal issues aside. He could have still continued to do stuff, but you want to attack and you don't deserve it. He's not here. Who are you? You have no effing talent. So you're eating off of your relative.
It's such a blurred line.
But that's the problem. That needs to go away because here's the thing. If we're going to do that, the second that Comic View thing was aired, it's copywritten, it's owned now, it's proven that it exists. So what Katt Williams should be able to do, because it's still within the realms of it, I should be able to sue Cedric the Entertainer for even touching it.
Now, what do we think about
the same format?
What do we think about the Ricky Smiley? He said he been playing the same old lady since the
I
90s.
mean, he has though. It's not a lie. I mean, I remember Ricky
Oh, I
Smiley
was like,
Morning Show,
no,
but
that's
it's
why I can't
facts.
play her no more at this point because
But the same thing that he said about Martin and about Kevin Hart wearing the dresses. I mean, so many comedians throughout history have said, as a black man, you're not putting me in a dress. That has been derogatory in our culture, at least forever,
it
since
has
comedy.
been, but it's
So many people have done it.
on both ends. When I've seen it where it has been a lot of comedians who have done it and it has been hilarious, and then I've seen a few who said absolutely not, and I
Right.
would not go that route. And
But that's the thing. It's
I
the
would be a hypocrite if I say
demasculization.
I ain't laugh at some of
I
the.
mean, I absolutely laughed at a point. You know, again, it's before being able to actually develop an informed understanding of what's going on. And the problem is that we are still relatively new to the realm of owning our intellectual properties as Black people, right? And so often we have been slaves to different companies and organizations that if we don't do a thing, we don't get money, we don't get sponsorship, we don't continue to be able to be creators.
You
So
gotta
we had to
really know
sell,
who you are
right.
in
So
this
we've had to
game.
sell parts of our dignity just for $1. And this is the fundamental aspect of this entire conversation is how much of yourself are you willing to sell for $1? You know, historically, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, to pimp a butterfly, you know, it's like how much $1 cost? Because what are you willing to sell in order to get a couple dollars? And
Now,
I'm sorry.
Kim Kardashian.
I mean, he was right. Like Kanye knew he signed up for a hoe. Like I'm not even gonna pull punches on that. Um,
Oh.
Kim got famous for catching the pipe. Like, let's not pretend like she was actually talented. She
That
was a
family,
makeup artist. She
that
could
family
do
is
some stuff.
foul. That family
They're
is foul.
super
Like,
foul, super foul. And I mean, again, you only liked her because she caught the, you know what I mean?
his new
Like,
woman looked just like her. I'm like,
yeah,
why don't we get somebody
yeah.
that look just? She looked miserable, like she's in a cage.
Because she didn't know what she signed up for.
That's all.
And that's the thing, you know, Kanye the mess out of her, and she was like, oh, I didn't know that this was the Kanye brand.
So how do you feel? Do you think that Katt is bitter? Do you think he needs to heal? Do you think he went too far?
I
I
think that
already
there's
know what you about to
levels.
say, but tell the people what you about to say.
I think there's levels to it. I think that there is healing that he needs to have, but did he go too far? Absolutely not. And I mean, I think that, you know me. Um, when I'm geared up and somebody does a thing, I'm the same way. I'm scorched earth, right? It's not that I want to be. I mean, honestly, one thing that 2024, I'm gonna try to be a little less abrasive, I suppose.
Well,
Slightly,
now that you
maybe.
got some new endeavors,
I
you
do
may
have some new endeavors.
you may be able to achieve your goal.
I'll touch that towards the end, but hold on. Um, no, I think that uh anymore we live in a world of so many lies, right? You can be anything you want on the interwebs. There's no accountability, right? There's no accountability on social media, anything. You can say whatever you want to and destroy something and there be no validity behind it, right? And with this, there's receipts. We can go back in time. We can look things up. Hey, was this? Did this happen this time? This did happen. This was this. This was this. So even when they come out and try to play cleanup and try to divert you from thinking a thing, you can go, wait, it lives on because this was an interview you did, or this was this. So in this time frame, if you did that thing, it's not hard to connect the dots and say, hey, you did that. Own it. Stop trying to dodge it and say, just like we just said, if you're a crappy human being, okay, we can accept that you're a crappy human being. Own it. Because we're in a space where you can't be honest. Like, listen, I'm not giving passes to white folks if they do blackface, but I get the time period. I get the thing. It's blackface. I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna kill you. I don't care enough to do that. I don't.
I think he went I feel like for the people who have said things about him, then if you dishing it, you should be able to take it. Now, people, I don't really like stray bullets. I'd be like, come on, they ain't do nothing to you. But I like what I'll say. I feel bad about stray bullets, but I be watching all of this because this is
Yeah,
the tea for me.
absolutely.
But the ones I did watch, I think it was Kevin Hart who said that Katt Williams was on drugs. You know, I remember him saying that on an interview that I watched. So allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I mean, you dishing stuff out. You better take what you dishing, especially
But
in that game. Like,
but that's the thing. Think about how many times we've seen the industry, or we've seen somebody in music or entertainment industry period do something, and they chalk it up to drugs or other mental health things, and then years later it comes out that they were telling the truth,
mm-hmm.
right? That it wasn't a thing like that.
Yep.
And I think that we've become so disillusioned by the concept of celebrity that we stop seeking what is true.
To be
Even when he brought
easy
up,
because you can just put that. Oh, he's crazy. You stamp him as crazy, and then everybody turn your back on them at that. That's
so think about what he even said with Chappelle. Everybody called Dave Chappelle crazy for walking away. Dave Chappelle's on drugs. Dave Chappelle's this. Dave Chappelle's out of control. And he wasn't. He literally walked away to preserve his dignity. But our culture, brown folk, tried to crucify too. Oh, that dude crazy. I'd have done anything for that money. I'd have done this. Exactly. They
but
know you
people
willing
don't
to sell your booty
understand
hole
until
for.
they're walking. You gotta be
Exactly.
in the
But
room. I
this
wish
is where
Katt could have talked a little bit more about what he thought about. He touched on it, but then he started going to other topics. I wish he talked a little bit more about Dave Chappelle and that money that he walked away from and why he walked away. I mean, obviously we heard it from Dave, so we got the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, the industry has lied to us forever. And I mean, I'm gonna touch on it. It's still touchy, I get it. But even with Bill Cosby, yeah, I mean, there was so much to Bill's story that get that the powers that be had every reason to bring him down because he threatened their control. He did. Remember, Bill was going to buy NBC by himself. One black dude,
they do stuff
out of their consortium,
but
was going to own NBC.
It's one of them things where two things can be right.
Right.
They'll humble you down if you get too powerful, but then you also was, because of the culture, you also were drugging and sleeping with drug up women. And you also were wrong. And I believe.
But here's my problem. Allegedly, even if you did it, I guarantee Bill wasn't the only one. Those other men in those suits in those rooms, if we really want to pull that up, let's pull receipts on them then. Let's look at how many of the actual board members in NBC and all these other major corporations have had prostitutes or women they drugged or models or Epstein's Island. That list just came out. So you can't tell me that you people are walking away from this with your hands clean, because here's the messed up part about it. The only way he'd have access to it is if you didn't build it.
That list,
you already had it in place.
That list about to be crazy.
And guess what? It needs to be scorched earth for them too. I don't want no pity parties for none of them. Because if that's what you're gonna do and you want to play selective outrage, like you said, nah. I need everybody to go down, because this Me Too, cancel you, do this and that, you can't grow. Okay, if that's the culture you wanted to create, now when it's time to cancel you, don't run from it. All right, I don't believe in cancel culture.
Final thoughts on Katt. And I got one more topic that just came to mind. But my final thoughts is let's protect Katt, because Katt don't be drinking no random drinks or nothing like that.
No. and pay attention. If anything comes out about Katt Williams or anything shifts, even in the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, pay attention, because they can't always attack you right away. They're going to try to do something. They're going to try to plant something. Something's going to occur in some form or fashion. Is going to try to discredit everything that he said. Remember, And I thought about this too when it comes to entertainment, because like I said, initially when I went to college, I went for multimedia graphic design. One of the first things they taught me was how to implant subliminal messages in media, right? If you're editing, they tell you the split seconds, the times, the tempos, all these different things to get your brain to take something in. And the thing is we it's become a conspiracy theory of sorts, but the Mandela effect. Something I've thought about recently about the Mandela effect. The media controls what you see, right? If they wanted to change history in real time just to see if people paid attention, they'll do it. It's an experiment. It's a social experiment. I want to see if in real time what you think you believed, you think you saw, I'm going to change that. Yep. So now it has you second guessing. Hey, did that toy exist, or did that commercial exist, or did that? It absolutely did. The media, it's a social experiment. I'm telling you, just because it's something that I had to take from going to school, doing that, and going, wait a minute, that would make sense. This stuff did happen. They did publicize this. They did say this way, and they make you think that you're crazy for thinking that. That's insane. But these things have happened. Color switches and little nuanced things. They just change small things to see if those who believe that it happened versus those who said, no, it never happened. Because they're selectively choosing to ignore something they know is a fact. That's the crazy part. That's how social media works. You change the slightest thing, the slightest detail, and get you to believe it. And you will try to convince the rest of the room that never happened. That's the problem that we're going through right now. The Mandela effect is a real thing, and it's a psychological experiment that they're doing on the people, period.
All right. Last one. Lauryn Hill